İyi günler. Hırvatistan'dan selamlar. İsmim Ljiljana İgrić ve bugün burada
Hello, my name is Ljiljana Igrić, and hello from Croatia. And we worked with my colleague who I worked with for a long period of time.
Clara Matić'i dinleyeceğiz.
So we will listen to Clara Maticic. She
Rehabilitasyoner olarak çalışıyor ve
she has been working as an special educator
teacher olarak görev
and special
yapmakta.
teacher.
Evet, şimdi bir
And yes,
ilkokulunda çalışıyor ve
she works in a primary school now,
olarak
and she works as a coordinator, as a special teacher.
bu işin nasıl
And how
bir model olduğunu göreceğiz.
this is a model in Croatia.
Meslektaşım gerçekten en iyi
And
koordinatörlerden,
my colleague is one of the best coordinators. And you know that there are different experts, but she's a good example. And we will be listening from her presentation. I'm really pleased to have that. And she will exchange with us what she learned from the schools. And I know that Croatia will serve as a good example
önümüzdeki günlerde
in the upcoming days.
bizi modelle ilgili daha çok dinleyeceğiz. Bize
We will listen more about the models, of course.
meslektaşımıza söz vermek
And I would like to give the floor to my colleague in this respect.
Clara Maticic
Clara Maticic,
eğitim rehabilitasyoner olarak ve Zagreb
as a
İlkokulu'nda
special
çalışıyorum.
I'm a special educator. I work in Zagreb in a school. I am an expert, and I want to apologize for not being able to participate lively during the symposium.
Rehabilitasyoner olarak
As a special educator,
ne olduğunu burada birlikte göreceğiz.
we will see what is being a special educator.
Eski öğrencisi olarak ve
So as an long old student, Ms. Igrić,
konusundaki
I will elaborate on comprehensive, inclusion education.
işini yapıyor. Ve tabii ki
And Mr. Igrić has been dealing with this for 50 years in inclusion education.
burada
And I had the opportunity to learn from her, and
okumundan, araştırmasından, okulda çalışmasından ve
I worked with her.
kapsayıcı eğitim konusuyla ilgileniyorum. Ve bu
I am
ben
in dealing with inclusive education. Today,
birlikte çıkacağız.
I would like to talk about what my experiences are, and I will talk about my experiences. And before, I would like to introduce or present, what I would like to say is that, and show you that, as you see here,
Ve konu olarak kapsayıcı okullarında eğitim rehabilitasyoner olarak
as a special educator, what is this special educator's role in inclusive education?
evet.
Yes, now,
Rehabilitasyoner olarak biri bana
in terms of rehabilitation, when one asks me, what is this? What is special educator or rehabilitator? What is this? Although in Croatia, this saying is used, or this term is used, still there are other terms used as well. Some of my colleagues as well use different terms as well. They use it as disabled. So why I call it an education rehabilitator? First of all, this is something different from the perspective of our students. It has got a very important meaning. And secondly, we see our students different, and we want to support our students. So for that reason, we term this as education rehabilitator or educational rehabilitator. So for this reason, these are all here, as you see, and here in which fields it includes as an rehabilitation or rehabilitator, educational rehabilitator. In Croatia in 2019, we had a law enacted, and within this law, the educational rehabilitator has such fields of business. First of all, early diagnosis important. What it means is that what youngsters come across in early states of their lives, and also the normal students' differences and obstacles are tried to be seen, and afterwards the ones who are found to be different are referred to expert, a certain expert, and diagnosis is very important, of course. And of course, in order to provide support, the need should be identified and individualized programs should be selected. And in meanwhile, the supporter programs should be made. And along with this, the fields that students would be involved should be identified. In Croatia, there are early diagnosis programs, and with this, the children, in which fields the children should be worked. These plans are made, and in order to not to come across with bigger problems in future, such plans are activated early. And why all these programs are made early? To ensure the children's participation. And surely with the rehabilitation and education support, the disabled children's rights are also important. And in meanwhile, the families' conditions are also to be taken into consideration. And of course, there are methods and programs are developed and were developed, and our experts individually or in group, they utilize these programs. And of course, here during the school or after school, these programs include the school time as well as after school. And there are, of course, developed programs and methods I will talk about. And these are actually used in different places. And the training and rehabilitation process are also important, and they are also included within this planning. And we have the primary school and secondary school times, of course, and afterwards
bir süreci kapsamakta.
and also it includes, these plans include the after school time. And during this support time, there's also the coordination, how this coordination should be made, and especially in different systems, how these coordinations are made. These are also tackled, and these are some inspections made during these times, and these are also important. And one of the most important objective is to provide the support to the professional works done, and also to provide a good and good support. And of course, the consultancy is also important. And in terms of promotion and inclusion school education, in an inclusive school, how coordination is made, I will be touching upon this. It's very important that we work as a team. Teamwork is very important for this. So education and rehabilitation works include many fields, and here both individuals and groups should go through this inclusive education, and accordingly we cooperate in our schools, and accordingly we try to develop ourselves. And what happens is that certain classes are formed, and within these classes the experts are trained within these classes, and practically they are trained, and accordingly experiences are made to be gained. And rehabilitation, educational rehabilitators, when they perform their occupation or profession, of course, they have to develop themselves continuously, and they have to carry out certain surveys and researches. And as a result of what is done, and an evaluation should be done. And during this presentation, I work in primary school. So within the school year, I would like to show you what is the plan in our school. This is how we classify the things. First of all, we have the studies especially aiming to the disabled children, and we have the studies or works done with the teachers, and also done with the families, and also the works done with the experts as well as the other people in the school, and also the teacher assistants I would like to touch on, because we work them closely, because during the work we perform, we follow the works, and it's important how these works are applied, and making preparation before the work, and to evaluate the annual plan is important, and also the documents and credentials are to be formed, and this is also important. And there are also other works, of course, to be fulfilled or to be undertaken, and I will also touch them afterwards. And indeed, we mainly spend our time with the disabled children, and these are actually done within the class or in other parts of the school. We're just talking about the inclusive education. So for that reason, here the teacher, the class teacher, as well as the assistant teacher are involved. And here, for that reason, we have the strategies, the education strategies, and also support strategies. In meanwhile, there are other experiences in other classes, and here, of course, individual studies are important, and these students in these classes are here once or twice in a week, and the planning is made, how many times they would appear in a week in those special classes are made according to their skills. And since their needs change day by day, so for that reason, the studies are planned according to the students, less or more. And there are, when the studies are made individually or in group form, they are made in the rehabilitation classes, and we have accordingly the educational rehabilitation, and the rehabilitation studies are here, which I would like to touch. Here we have analysis, rehabilitation for synthesis, graphics. We have all these, and we have also visual studies, local studies, and we also have the orientation programs, studies and tactical studies, grammar and grammar rules, writing rules, and reading and writing and mathematical thought development, thinking development, and individual studying and social development. And apart from this, of course, there are other studies carried out. Of course, we have to know which subject is related to which organization. And these all, of course, are carried out on timely and directly study. Within the direct studies, we have the psychological studies. In terms of orientation, there are many studies carried out. And of course, while when a certain occupation is selected, there are also some studies related to this selection of occupation for the students. When the student goes into the first class, the status has to be identified, not only for the children with special needs, during also for the children who experience problems related to development. We also work with them. And in meanwhile, we also have studies or works done with the children with speaking disabilities and also physical disabilities. And also, we also work with the language or lingual problems, experiencing lingual problems. And of course, here, we also take into consideration that the children do not get sufficient support from the families, and everything is identified as per the needs of the students. And of course, during these studies, other experts' considerations and thoughts are paid attention, and whichever the program they're related to, we certainly take their ideas and thoughts. And in terms of the direct works or studies, the families or rehabilitators, teachers or administrators, we certainly work together and we exchange views and ideas. And in meanwhile, we work with the principal of the school as well. And here, the works that we carry out with the teachers are important, and I just would like to elaborate on this. And here, I would like to touch upon how do we exchange our views and opinions with the teachers. What happens is that we interview with the teachers individually as well as through consultancy. And as per the need, either on telephone or email, we certainly, we continuously communicate with the teachers. And our cooperation is ensured with certain meetings or with certain endeavors. And during these meetings, the teachers take their places. And these meetings, during these meetings, what happens is that we talk about a certain development of a certain student, and then we decide to which direction we should head for and which individual program should be applied. We decide on this. And as the professional of education, we try to provide assistance in terms of relation between the student and the educator. And this is also important important for a qualified education. And it's really important that we have the experts' views as well. Anyhow, already we just carry out our endeavors accordingly. And I would like to show how we carry out this in our school, especially in our school. We cooperate with the families and experts, and these are very important. Here, with the principal, with the pedagogy expert, it's really important. And here, the difficult problems are taken into consideration. If this is a complex problem about the student, we dwell on the issue, how we can resolve the problem by communicating, discussing it with the family, with the teacher, with the administrator, and other related parties. And of course, one of the important duties of the principal is to provide the materials as well as to ensure the sufficient conditions. This is really important because the students can be successful with the, or should be, excuse me, should be working with certain tools and materials. And here, of course, we're talking about working with an assistants. And in meanwhile, I have 2 occupations here. So for that reason, the assistant teachers are capable of coordination as well as follow-up of the documentations, and also they can program the